pretty good. Oh,
All right, I'm gonna let a few more people filter in, Rosita. We're still gonna be respectful of everybody's time. But we'll probably get started around 11:02.
that works. Give 2 minutes to get my throat. Stop being silly.
Good morning, Kathy. Good morning, Dave.
Good morning.
Good morning, Mary. How are you?
Doing well. How are you?
I'm good, thanks.
Fantastic.
Congratulations, Dave.
Thank you. For what?
Oh, you're so humble.
I don't have it next Wednesday, Thursday. I got it next Friday.
Next Friday. Somebody said they got something next Friday.
Danielle, are you the host of this? Can you make me co-host?
Ooh, where is Kathy at?
My apologies. I had my speaker on, so.
All good.
Hey, honey, that's my wonderful husband.
Aw.
And then I see the kid, my godson's mom is on here. Hey, guys.
We love a supportive family.
Yeah.
All right. So, thank you all for jumping on this morning. I'm very excited about our guest. For those of you that have been jumping in over the last 2 months, we have had a lot of guests come from other market centers. And today we have the very special Rosita, who is a part of our market center. The reason we asked Rosita to speak today is because she has, to me, defied all of the fears that I hear from agents every single day. I have the honor of getting to know so many agents in our area, and a lot of them share the same fear of, one, not having maybe the support of a team or a mentor anymore and kind of going out on your own. Additionally, the fear of failure. And I think we all carry that with us. And Rosita has just absolutely crushed it this year. Rosita is the founder of a church, so she is a businesswoman through and through, that is for sure. And I would like to hand it over to Rosita this morning to tell us a little bit about your backstory before real estate.
Yes, ma'am. Well, good morning again, everybody, on this wonderful Wednesday. I'm super excited for this opportunity. The amazing thing is Mary had approached me, I think, July? It was like, you want to be a guest for us in August? I was like, I don't know, so, but anyway, then I thought about it and I was like, she must have saw something in me to even approach me. So I'm learning to embrace God-given opportunities. So I went ahead and reached out and said, hey, did I miss that, opportunity? And she was like, oh, no, you didn't. So gave me some dates and, so here we are. So as far as the founding of the church, so actually my husband is the founding pastor, and I've worked along with him. That's beside him, behind him, underneath, in whatever capacity that he needs. We've been actively involved in church and in ministry for years, 21, at least 21 years, I know. And then he's been pastoring for 8 years. And so that in and of itself is an adventure. And I didn't even realize then, that, hey, this is what we're doing, because my focus is always from just serving and doing whatever I can to help, right? Serving whatever capacity needed. And so as I was preparing for today, I was like, wait a minute. Been doing a lot of this stuff already and didn't even know it. It's just now a lot of those attributes and stuff that it takes with building anything from ground zero, carries over into entrepreneurship, which it took me a minute to realize that that's what I was. I didn't realize that when I got in real estate, I was becoming an entrepreneur. I thought I was just launching out to help people, right? Because my husband and I, we had an unpleasant experience when we purchased our first house. And I had said way back then, if I could ever be in a position to help anybody else avoid that, then I wanted to. So we actually purchased our first house in 2006, and we got caught up in the whole shenanigans, as I say. And so we were actually victims of predatory lending. Realized later on documents and stuff were falsified, stuff was inflated. I mean, you name it. So horrible experience, right? So that back then is what kind of sparked it. As far as, an interest. And then, years later, the opportunity presented itself. But yes, so my name, the way it's spelled, it looks like it's Rosette or Rosetta, but it's pronounced Rosita. I am a wife, mother, a grandmother. I have a fur baby named Judah. And I'm a songstress as well. I am working on music behind the scenes. I've been singing for years as well, and I'm working on a single release as well. And yeah, so that's about it.
And don't forget you're a veteran.
Oh yeah, I'm a veteran. Thank you, Lisa. Yeah, to add to that, I'm a veteran, and I've been honored to be awarded. I got an award, Sister Kid, maybe a year or two ago, for being recognized as a Christian woman in leadership. So a lot of things. So I mean, it's a lot, but I really don't think on it. Not that I'm ungrateful, but just, what I do, it just kind of comes natural. So a lot of times I don't even realize that I'm doing some of the things people are saying. Hey, did you know you did that? Or hey, did you know? And really I don't, because my focus is just making sure I'm doing a good job, and making sure I'm doing things right. And I really do have a heartbeat to, number one, make Jesus happy, to represent him well, and to represent my family, well, especially my husband well. So yeah, that's where that is.
That's amazing. That's
Mhm.
amazing. You are amazing. So to be able to understand, I think, how far you've come, tell us a little bit about where it started for you in real estate, when you got your license, the experience of kind of trying to figure out what it is we're doing.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah. So got my license January 21st of 2021. Finished real estate school December 2020. Passed my exam the first time. I was excited about that. That was on December the 15th, right? So all I know is, oh my gosh, I passed. I'm getting my license. Now what do I do? So I started with a smaller brokerage. What I've learned, the proper term is boutique, right? Started with boutique brokerage, and I did that because I was like, yes, it's small. I'm going to get one-on-ones and da-da-da-da. Didn't quite work out that way. And so actually within my first couple months, so got my license actually in January, February, I had my first listing. And, I've always heard that when you're a new agent, you'll probably be a buyer's agent and not get listings. That wasn't my case. So I'm panicking like, oh my gosh, what do I do? So reached out for some help, and it, wasn't quite there, but that's okay, right? Still made it through, and the property still sold. Then in March, I had first buyer under contract, and he purchased a new construction home. I was excited about that. And then also worked through that. And so then I was like, okay. And I knew, so then I started running into some growing pains, right? So I think another thing, like with me, I'm not good at pretending. So like I've had some challenges when I first started out. Things are kind of getting better. Well, no, they've gotten a lot better. But in the beginning, I was like, what did I do? Because, I went from excited, like, oh my gosh, I got my license. I'm being able to help people. I'm doing this. I'm an agent, all excited. And then within a short amount of time, it was like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I'm excited about this anymore. So I had some very unpleasant experiences. I won't go into detail. I'll share that on one-on-one as necessary as needed. But if there was a time for me to maybe want to quit, it would have been in that first 6 months to a year. So fast forward, I was at the brokerage for a little while, made the transition over to Keller Williams. Woo! Very excited about that. Don't regret that at all. Joined the team. Was on the team for probably a year, a little over a year, and then made the transition back to a solo agent. And so here I am now.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I'm sorry I keep muting and unmuting. There's people working on the yard outside the office, and I don't want anybody to hear that loudness.
Didn't even know.
So what was one of your big takeaways from being on a team?
One of my big takeaways from being on the team is, well, there's pros and cons to everything.
Mhm.
But one of my biggest takeaways that I got was that it's not necessarily for everybody. And I don't mean that in a bad way. Like for myself, I realized because of all the responsibilities that I have and all the other things that I do, and then even with my husband being a pastor, me being his wife, and us being the founders, there's a lot of other things that go into that. So we're very hands-on, you know what I mean? So we may get a phone call where there's a need, or I might have to do something, to help a member, whether it be our church or somewhere else. And so I needed to be able to really pivot and shift. And so I found out that my lifestyle wasn't really conducive for me on a team, because I couldn't necessarily be dependent on certain ways to be able to carry out certain things. Like if they came up with a schedule and say, hey, we're going to do X, Y, and Z on this date, then there may be a need that arose for somebody, and I wouldn't be able to tend to that. So in making that decision to transition off, it was challenging. It wasn't easy, and I didn't realize the toll that it would take on me when making the decision, even though I knew it was the right decision, for everybody. It was still very challenging, you know what I mean? So, but yeah, so biggest takeaway that I got from it was that it's not necessarily for everybody. Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Awesome. So we're mostly, I think, all have solo agents on here. So I really want to focus on what that looked like for you. You've had extreme success this year with lots of transactions coming through. So tell us a little bit about what that lead generation looked like. And then let's go into how you handled all of that, because that was a lot on your plate.
Yeah. So behind the scenes, I passed out. Just kidding. But so as far as the lead generation, a lot of it came from my sphere. Like a lot of my leads actually come from my husband, and I'm grateful. Like he's like my biggest supporter. I always say, and now I won't say that, but anyway, I thank God for my husband. So a lot for my sphere, and then a lot too of just one time, now I'm gonna tell you, this is what really took off. A former coworker had reached out to me because she wanted assistance with getting a tenant for her rental property. And so I was like, oh yeah, I can do that, not a problem or whatever. So of course you do your research and you figure it out. Put the rental property out there, and it was a two bedroom townhouse, 2 bedroom, 1.5 townhouse with a garage, basement, very nice. And they kept it reasonably priced on purpose. Within 3 days, I had like over 300 inquiries. And I was like, oh my God, I can't, and then me from the service aspect of it, because I heard a lot of feedback from different ones saying, yeah, I reached out to this agent, but they never got back in touch with me, or I reached out and they never responded. So that has always been in the back of my mind. And then I have just the background in customer service as well. So I was like, well, I never want anybody to feel like they fall through the cracks. So, but I just couldn't keep up with all of it. So what I wanted to do was just set up automated responses, so that if a lead came in through a CRM, then an email would automatically generate and say, hey, thank you for inquiring. These are the minimum qualifications, and here's the link. And then a lot of that. And then, referral and word of mouth is where the lead came into. So leads come from.
Okay. Well, we can all say that Sphere is great, but how do you actually nurture them? Because just because you know people doesn't mean they're always going to call you for real estate. So is there a lot of calls or touches or contacts that you have?
So I do have a lot of contacts. I was bold enough to have a client appreciation event back in June, and I had like 1,000 some people in my database. Go figure, right? So with touching them, I can only be me. There are times when the Lord will lead me to call certain people. They will be on my heart, and it's the right time to call them. They may be going through something, or just need an encouragement or something like that. So a lot has happened that way. So some of my methods are systematic, and a lot are spirit led. Right. So for the systematic ones, I have where, one thing that I learned, I'm sorry, I'm getting all over the place. I mean, slow down, I'm getting excited. But as far as the systematic part, right? So I picked up during Bold the DTD2 database, where it lets you know each week what letters of the alphabet, contacts in that alphabet to call and reach out to, whether some of them you're texting, some of them you're calling. So I've used that. There are times, like I said, where spirit led, somebody's on my heart, a couple people might be on my heart, that one phone call. And I know I've done that before, and that has led to 2 leads or 3 leads off the one phone call, even though that wasn't my intent for the call. Also, I'm still improving a lot of things, right? It's a work in progress. So I have where I'll send out newsletters or just a mass email to say, hey, and different things of that nature. So one thing that I've embraced about my business is that mine doesn't look like everybody else's. And I'm not everybody on here probably doesn't. But I learned to embrace the fact that it's okay. Right. So what I was doing was looking for a model to follow to the T, to say, okay, do this, do this, do this, do this, and then that'll work. But a lot of the success that I've had hasn't come from things looking like this model, that model. It's kind of like been a combination of everything. And so I've gotten to the place now where it's like, you know what? That's okay. That's just how my business is looking and running. And so, that's what it is.
It's powerful. That's powerful. Was there something that helped you come to that realization? Because I think we all could grow a lot from that, but that doesn't come by just saying it all the time.
No. So I can tell you, I've always been one to try to work on myself and improve myself. So I mentioned earlier, I did attend Bold coaching, and that really opened up a lot for me. And started is what I had to learn to embrace. Like I said at the beginning of the call, I didn't realize that I was an entrepreneur, right? I just thought I got my license, I'm gonna help people. But no, you're an entrepreneur and you're running a business. So then I had to learn to think as a business owner, as a CEO. And even I'll go into this vein a little bit, and you let me know if I'm going off topic with answering your question. So because of how I'm built and how I'm made and how things work for me, if I get a phone call, then I'm like immediately trying to jump out and help and go and do whatever. As opposed to stopping and thinking, right? Getting enough information before I hop out the door. The agents, they talk about, you get a call and I can show you that property, and you right out there, you don't know what they look like, if they're going to be by themselves, if they're even qualified, if they're working with another agent. It's just, I got that call. Oh my gosh, I got a lead, I'm gone. So, during my transition and learning to think like a CEO, and a business owner, which is what we are, whether we know it or not. So those who maybe like me and didn't know in the beginning, that's what you are. Your thought pattern changes. One thing from Bold that really stood out to me was one of the Bold laws: clarity is power. It really is. So even when I was making the transition from the team, before I made that decision, I sat down and I wrote down what I needed. What were my areas of opportunity? Where was I struggling at? What hindrances was I causing? Not intentionally, but sometimes we can, cause hindrances to other people. And so, but once I got that, then I was like, okay, now I know exactly what I needed to do. But I didn't make another move until I knew what I needed first, because had I done that, then I would have been in the same situation no matter where I was at. So that was that. And then just investing in myself with coaching. And then Bold was the foundation. And that led me to look into other forms of coaching and stuff like that to invest in myself. So did that answer your question?
Yes, you're answering
Okay.
all the questions.
Okay.
I love it. So obviously talking about systems, that was the second piece of that. When you go and you grow so quickly, I mean, I think at one point you were handling what, 5 or 6 deals at a time?
Yes, I was. And I was like, I need an assistant. But my budget was like, you can't have one right now.
So what systems did you have to put into place? Because holy moly.
Okay, so I was the system that I put in place. I don't
I
have
love
any other
that.
answer for it. So I was it. It was like, Rosita Dennis, you have these amazing opportunities in your lap that a lot of people would love to have. Stop crying and complaining. Stop trying to look, for XYZ. You don't have access to that right now. So work with what you have. And so when I did that, I realized that I had a lot more than what I said. I have my girls, my 2 youngest girls. They're always very supportive and make themselves available for me, for certain things. And so I just pulled on, what I had. And then what I realized, again, going back to sometimes not even realize what you're working with being a leader in the church. And there were things that I was already doing that, okay, it carries over. So I had to learn to make that connection. That was the biggest thing. You know what I mean? So like, for example, when it came to throwing the cat party, client appreciation party, I'm up here having this whole fit. And then I said, wait a minute, Rosita, you guys have had guest churches come in before, right? You've greeted them, you've had dinner, y'all have served them, y'all have, so it's nothing new. But I think I had to just remember that, first of all, and then get tunnel vision. That was another thing that's been very helpful for me as well. Just keep tunnel vision, and not focus on everybody else or compare yourself to everybody else. Another thing that was really impactful to me that I picked up from Bold, sounds like I'm advocating for Bold, right? But if you guys are experienced, so, but anyway, they had us watch a video where this guy, he was had a disability, and he did the Ironman challenge. But his goal, his trainer or his coach had him to have the goal of just get 1% better every day, just 1%. And so to me, I was like, oh, that's all I got to do. Just be 1%. For me, it's me against me. It's not me against, any other agent out here. It's not me against another team. It is Rosita against Rosita. How is Rosita improving from what she did last time? And then a lot that I've been hearing, and Mary, we've been talking about that at the meeting in Seaford and the office, consistency. And I look back through my notes this week, and that's another thing. I write a lot of notes. So my area of opportunity is going back and look at what I wrote, because there'd be a lot of good stuff in there. But consistency is key, consistent action. It doesn't have to be perfect, but at least keep moving, and doing something. So yeah, with those deals, I was the system. It was like, you have a background in customer service, you know how to do this. I don't mind. I do my best work when everybody else is in bed, and I should be too. But I was up doing what I needed to do. You know what I mean? And so, yeah, taking bits and pieces from what I learned, what I found out that works, and just went on from there. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I made a video earlier this week about the 4 quadrants for scheduling and success. And to your point about the tunnel vision, we have to focus on the things that are important and not necessarily urgent. That's the quadrant where we find success. When we're not focusing on the noise of the urgency of things that people want us to get done, or, the unfortunate problem that we have with some of our clients of they want things now, and we have to be able to focus on that tunnel vision of what's important and not urgent, because that's where growth happens.
Yeah. And don't be afraid to use focus or do not disturb on the phone. I had to learn that. And Walt, he probably knows my voice very well, because I've called him a lot of times.
We don't have a problem, do we?
No, we don't. And I'm like, hey, Walt, it's Rosita, as if I need to introduce myself.
And what do I always say to you at the end?
Good luck.
That's
You're
it.
doing good. No, you're fine. And I will say this, because I had a moment of feeling, and it hits us all. And I was like, man, I'm calling Walt so much. Like, am I that agent? Like, oh gosh, what's she calling about? Or she's so needy, or she's not growing, or she's so. And I was like, well, do I sound like somebody that's just not growing, or somebody that's real insecure, or somebody that's this and the other? And what he said to me assured me, and I ran with that. He said, you sound like somebody that just wants to make sure they're doing a good job. And sometimes we all need assurance, and there's nothing wrong with that. You know what I mean? So again, it goes back to just embracing and doing what I know I need to do for me, and then to have that support, that's the amazing thing. So when I call him, I don't have to worry about, oh my gosh, he probably said this girl calling me, or, this woman, this agent calling me. No, he's actually there to help. And he even encourages you. Well, I know he encouraged me. I'm gonna be jealous. You're not jealous, but selfish. He encouraged me, that day. When I was like, why am I calling so much? And that mindset had came from, I think when I was in corporate, right? If you're in a position and then you have to call and call so many times, it could cause people to wonder, well, if you got to call me so much and ask for so much help, why are you in that position? So I think that had kind of stirred up a little bit too. But this is a whole different beast. This is a whole different animal, and there's so many moving pieces, so many moving parts. Nothing is the same. So you have an understanding of a concept for this deal here. And I've heard this, in the beginning when I first started, no two deals are the same. Now I really know what they mean, because they can be very similar, but one little thing could make it completely different. So I'd rather ask and let it confirm what I was thinking, or, ask and find out that I was off, and ask before it's too late. My former bishop, when he was living, he used to, when he was going to petition for something, he would say, I'd rather hear a no than not know. And so, we can sometimes operate off of too many unknowns, and that can keep us, trapped and full of anxieties and stuff like that too. So, but this industry that we're in, I'm finding out just how impactful it is, and how so much can go wrong so quick. So if there's anything I'm uneasy about, I'm going to pick up and call. I called Lisa 10, 11 o'clock, at night. I have another colleague, she's with another brokerage. Before Kelly came to Keller Williams, she lent me her time, so we do need to support. We do. And if you have it, take advantage of it. So,
yeah. Huge props to Walt. He is always there to answer any question, and eager to.
Yeah, he is. One time I called him, and at the end of the call, he didn't say, okay, good luck. He didn't say good luck. I said, wait a minute, you didn't say, you didn't say what you usually say. And he said, oh,
Rosita, you're doing a great job, and you're a great example. And you call me anytime, and the rest of you on the call, that as well. You can call me, and you're right. You should call me, because you want to do the right thing, and this is impactful. What we do definitely affects people's lives in a big way, right? And they remember that. And I love you, and I love your spirit. I think you're doing a great job.
Gosh, I'm blushing again. Cheekbones hurt.
No.
Thank y'all so much.
Keep it up.
So I'm going to go a little bit off script, if that's okay, Rosita.
Yes, let's go. Okay.
I am wondering what you're doing to prepare for the last and final quarter of the year, but also 2024, because we're in a weird market. We feel that. And you're going on your second year as a solo agent. And I'm sure, I think a lot of agents, and I think people on this call can understand the fact that I've achieved such great success this year. How am I going to achieve that next year and more?
Gotcha. Yeah. So what I am doing, well, actually, hold on. Let me just have the fun part real quick before I get deep. So I like stationery, I like pens, I like notebooks, I like stickies, I like calendars. So I went and I bought a big dry erase board calendar, dry erase calendar, whatever. So I bought a new one. So that's got me kind of excited about it. And so with that mindset of knowing, okay, now you are a business owner, right? So I've adjusted that. So success or failure is on me. And so what I've done is actually embrace the area of opportunity that I had, which was looking at my numbers and production and all that kind of stuff. And say, okay, this is where I am right now. This is where I want to be. I set a goal. And so just getting more solid on tracking that information. Also going back through my notes, because like I said, I write a lot of good information down, especially from the Zooms, the webinars, from the coaching. And it's almost like reading the Bible, right? You can read a passage and you get a meaning, get the understanding, and then you go back 2 weeks later and you read that same passage and something else jumps out at you, so, and that's what I've been doing with the coaching, like even Bold, I done broke that out. The other coaching program that I tapped into, I was like, I'm not even going to go any further. Let me go back and review, what they done. So my goal is to make sure I'm taking consistent action. So it's planning. So I'm becoming more intentional about planning. I've read somewhere, I might have heard it on a video, I'm not going to try to quote who said it, but a lot of people that are successful spend a lot of time planning. They spend a lot of time planning and coming up with a plan, and then they execute. And I know Amanda Kidd, she's an entrepreneur, business owner, does very well. And just conversations with her, she does a lot of planning. So that's what I tend to do. I've already actually started and the thing is just be intentional and be consistent. So I said before, my word for the rest of this year is consistent, and I'm going to carry it into next year. And also just continue to give myself grace for when something does shift and maybe throw things off a little bit. That's important too, because I'm my own worst critic. And so I have to allow for a human factor and for, no, I'm not perfect. I didn't do just right. So I do intend to set my goal, right? And it's amazing because that was an area of opportunity for me as well when I first started, right? Setting numerical goals and writing down what you need. And I'm like, oh, okay. You know what I mean? So I didn't quite meet my goal I had set for myself this year, but that's okay. I'm excited. Again, I'm getting 1% better. So excited about the fact that I said it and I didn't back up off of it, right? Because there were times where I said it and I'd be like, oh, maybe I need to, change it a little bit. But no, I kept the same goal and striving. And so setting my goal for next year, and just going with it. And you know what, here's a unique thing. Solo to me doesn't equal being alone. So solo is not the same thing as being alone. I'm never alone. I have the Lord with me, and then I have a great support system at home and with the brokerage. And I'm not just saying that just to be saying it. I choose my words very carefully. But so solo, but I'm not alone. So I'm good.
I love that. I love that. I think the planning and the consistency, like you said, is what takes us from entrepreneurial to purposeful. Keller Williams teaches that, going from E to P. So I am just going to plug for a second that Business Planning Clinic is coming up in October. So for anybody that is wanting to have some additional assistance in what Rosita was talking about, as far as planning and getting really real with yourself for the next year, that's going to be October 11th. And we have those resources through the Market Center. So as we're getting near the end, I don't want to say the end, but as we're kind of going through this, what's one thing that you could say to everybody here that you think changed your outcome and your future in your real estate career?
I would say just embracing who I am. And learning to see what others saw in me. Really, that is and I'm gonna tell you, when I was again, right, clarity is power, writing down why I was struggling, why it was hard, my areas of opportunity, where I may have been failing, others where I may have not been able to keep commitments and stuff like that. Once I got real with that, and I told you guys I sing, right? A lot of people don't know, but I do sing. And so while I was going through that, there was one moment where I had my time in the room with the Lord in my office. I call it my think tank now, but it's where I do business, I pray, I worship, I do it all in this office at home. And so the song came to me, great is thy faithfulness. All thy have needed, my hand has already provided. So the Lord let me know then everything, Rosita, you need already got. And I had gotten to the place where I felt like, I needed this person, or I needed that, or I needed this, or just not confident in the abilities that he had given me already. You know what I mean? Not confident. And everybody else saw it. But if everybody else see it and you don't, it's not doing you any good. And yes, I'm talking like even with being in leadership, being in the forefront at times, and, you know, helping other people pray through, helping other people and accomplish their goals, encouraging other people and all that, there was still something within me. So I had to learn to turn that down on and focus it on me, on the inside, and say, yes, I can. And like the sign says behind me, my word art, I can do all things through Christ that strengthens me. So I would say once I really embraced that 100%, then that helped me make that change, and it made the change in my mindset, and really just, you know, embracing it for myself. So
I love that.
yeah.
Anything else you want to cover that you felt to share today?
I can't say, you know, for sure. Again, I'm actually just, you know, just grateful for the opportunity. Just want to encourage you guys, you know, to just, you know, keep going. I'm no better than anybody else. Nobody else is any better than me either. So, and just, you know, embrace who you are. Oh, and know that you are running a business.
Yeah.
So that means, you know, getting your things in order, planning, business plan, you know, 5 things that you may need, you know, to run the business, you know, your banker, your accountant, your insurance, all of that, you know. And I know we have E&O insurance here, and I'm just speaking because I actually have an LLC, you know, dedicated professional services LLC, and that's what everything is umbrellaed under. So, you know, yes, just know you're not just an agent. You're not just an agent. Like you're running some things here. So
Absolutely. Absolutely. Any questions for Rosita and on today?
go easy on me, y'all.
You know it's good when they don't have questions, because that means you covered everything.
Really? Wow. Okay. Well, if you think of anything, you know, and
So let's see, we
oh
can't let her
gosh,
get off the hook that easy, right? Come on now.
you can. I'll be all right.
So did you tell us where you got your business? Where do you get your business?
Yes. So, sphere of influence, my biggest lead generator is my husband, man, Lyndon Dennis, who is on here. Also my family, and you know, sphere. Yeah. Oh, and I'm gonna tell you, I was playing with something in the beginning too. This US HUD, something, you know, $279 a month, you know, a minimum of 3 months, and we'll get you leads and all that. It was shenanigans. Don't do that.
I read something today that said, why would you spend money? And not that spending money on leads is bad. I mean, everybody, I know people that do it both ways, but It just genuinely said, if you have the people in your database, like Rosita, you got 1,000 people into your database
Had
in
no,
what,
didn't even
3
know.
years?
Didn't even know. And a lot of them were already, just there. So it goes back to not realizing what you have and thinking that, oh, you got to do it this way, you got to do it that way. No, you don't. No, you
We
don't.
all know people,
Mhm.
and they don't have to necessarily be from here,
Mm-mm.
So really encourage everybody to get very serious with their database. Go ahead, Greg.
Sorry, my mind moves a little bit slower than most people, so my
Okay.
questions come, like a sloth. And often I don't even get a chance to ask them. So,
Oh,
let me think. So when you talked about, connecting with your sphere,
mhm.
you know, um, you kind of gave some principle with that. Could you maybe give some application as far as how that would practically look? Like, say you just called, someone that you're maybe not best friends with, or, you just had some associations with in the past, and you may not know each other very well. So it's almost like a cold call to your sphere.
Right.
How would you normally go about that?
Great question. So I can give an example. I was going through my phone, and there was a name in there I didn't recognize. And so I called and he answered. And I was like, hey, I'm going through my phone and you're in here. How do I know you? I did. I asked him just like that. How do I know you? And he was like, well, I don't know. And then we ran down the line and tried to figure out how we knew each other. Couldn't figure it out. And that in that instance, I was too paranoid to even say, hey, well, if you know anybody, or if you try to sell real estate, I was too scared. But I was curious, like, why is his number in my phone? So with ones where I'm not too familiar with them, I'm just my genuine self. And just make it like a care call. We learned in Bold about the Ford method, family, occupation, relocation, and dreams. So you can touch on that. Just say, how you doing, family? I know some people I'll be like, I ain't talked to you in a month of Sundays. How are you doing? And, or the last time we talked. And then another thing that I do, and I picked that up from my former profession, because I used to work for Discover from home even before the pandemic. After we made a phone call, we would make notes about the phone call. So I've kept that habit. So whenever I converse with somebody, I put notes, what the discussion was and so forth like that to help, for further. And then I tried different techniques too when I was bold enough to try it, well, I'm doing this. Do you mind if I send you something? And I would act so timid, like, because expected him to say no, and growl and hang up. But most of them, they said yes. So if I got the yes, I would try to maintain and be consistent and send out whatever, I said I would send out to them.
So you would send emails, mailings,
Cards.
like cards.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So at that point, would you gather more contact information if you didn't have it?
Yeah. Another
Okay.
thing that I learned too, that I picked up from another program I was in, was just having a casual conversation. And like when I was preparing for my client appreciation party, a line that I had learned to use was, hey, how are you? Well, you know what? Nice talking to you. I'm going to have an event in a couple weeks, and I'd like to send you an invitation. Would you mind providing me with your email, your phone number, and so forth like that? And they would. Then I would get it that way. The other ones, like I'm going to be going through my database here again. Well, I should be doing it consistently anyway, right? That's the word, consistency. I just told myself. But anyway, and just to make sure you have up-to-date information. Like, for example, I'll give you a real life scenario. I just lost my cousin, and we the funeral was this past Saturday. Her daughter played drums for me before, stayed over our house and so forth. I went to call her, it's not a current number. So she lost her mom. I wasn't able to get directly in touch with her because I didn't have updated information. So things like that helps to put things in perspective, as well as far as why you do need to make sure your information is up to date, not necessarily just for business purposes, but for moments like that.
I also would like to mention, I learned a quick trick yesterday. If you have a contact's phone number, you can use the Forewarn app to find their other information, like an address to send them mailings or CMA.
Nice.
How do you spell that? Forewarn.
Forewarn. It's also a really good safety app as well. Check
And that's
people
one of
out
those things that I've heard about that before, and I wrote it down.
in the notes.
I think we have a question in the chat.
Yes. What is the primary difference between being a solo agent and being on a team?
I think it's depending on how the team is structured. When my time on the team, I would attribute it to say, I didn't know what I didn't know. So everything was so new to me, and me still trying to learn and figure things out. And then when I really looked at it, I was kind of operating as if I was solo anyway. And that's because I needed to, right? Because of all the responsibilities that I have. So, but I would say if you wanted to know a little more about that, maybe get with Mary. I don't say Mary, but get with Mary, and she could probably refer you to some teams, that have been in motion, and they can, let you know how they operate.
Yeah. Every team is a little bit different.
A little different, yeah.
And we have a great system within Keller Williams called the KPA, Keller Personality Assessment, that can also help and guide you to where you might operate best. Do you have the qualities of a strong solo agent, or would you operate better on a strong team? And what does that team look like? So anybody that's interested in that, happy to go through the processes with you. Any other questions? This has been so inspirational and educational. And I think for all of us, you are a testament to the fact that it doesn't take rocket science to be an incredible real estate agent. It takes passion, it takes planning, and it takes consistency, which is hard for, I think, everybody on the universe. I want to thank you so much and give it over to you for final words to our group here.
All right. In my conclusion, final words and benediction. Just kidding. That's the church world. I'm just playing.
That was good.
Well, no, again, thank you so much for the opportunity to be on here. Again, in my mind and my eye, I can't really say that, I was doing anything. So, but I'm grateful. No, I'm not one to make up anything if I don't have anything to say. But it is hard. I had made notes when I was going through real estate school, because somebody had said real estate is one of the hardest things that you'll do in your life. And I wrote it down, and I was like, you know what? I went back and looked. They are right. And not necessarily, there's different things that can make it hard or challenging. But just embrace it. My dog now is wanting to talk in the background. If you hear him, that's Mr. Judah. But just embrace it, and another bold saying is no pressure, no diamonds. You know what I mean? So a lot of the attributes that we pick up and a lot of experiences that we had in life, they carry over and they can help us in this industry. So, being in the military for a little bit, customer service, personnel manager, banking industry, helping to build a church from ground zero, all of those things, and just dealing with people in life in general, they help, contribute to make us who we are. So, yeah.
Thank you so much, Rosita. Thank
Thank
you,
you.
everybody, for jumping on today. If you need Rosita's contact information to pick her brain even more, just reach out to one of us and we'll be happy to get it to you, or you can find it in white pages on the KW intranet.
Yes. Oh, and just to let you know, thank you guys. I service Kent, Sussex, and Lower Newcastle County, Delaware.
There you go.
You're an
Awesome.
inspiration.
Oh, thank you. Make your days great, guy. Make your day great. Thank you so much.
Bye, everybody.
All righty, bye-bye.